Hello everyone, it's Laura here from See Clear Counselling again. So welcome to part 3 of the video series on negative automatic thoughts. So this week we're going to look a little bit more at how your thoughts can change your reaction to a situation. So if you haven't seen part 1 or part 2, then please do go to my Facebook page, my Instagram page or my YouTube channel, all under See Clear Counselling, and you'll be able to catch up with videos 1 and 2. In video 1 we talked about what negative automatic thoughts are and how they can have an impact on your feelings, your emotions and your behaviours. And then in video 2 we did a little bit more of a deep dive and looked at a situation and saw how differing negative thoughts could give you different emotions and feelings towards the situation, and your behaviour might be quite different for each of those thoughts that you have. So during the week I asked you to keep a diary of situations or events that may cause you some stress or negative reactions, because it's only by understanding when we're having these negative automatic thoughts that we can actually start to have some control of them. So I'm hoping that through the week there's been a few situations where you felt perhaps you would like to have reacted in a slightly different way, or your emotions weren't quite what you would like to have had from the situation, and you've jotted them down in your diary and got an idea of what those emotions and feelings were, what your behaviours were, and then been able to think about what thoughts you were having at the time that led to you having those kind of emotions and reactions. So I said I'd do a diary as well, and I've done my diary of a few events that happened during the week. And just as an example, I'll take one that happened for me, and then we can look at what our thoughts do and how they can give us this negative emotional response and a behaviour that perhaps we didn't want or weren't expecting. And then look at how we can actually reframe our thoughts in order for us to have a better emotional response and a behaviour because of that. Because it's only really by understanding when we have these negative thoughts that if we raise our awareness and know when they're happening, that actually we can start to get control of them. And then we can realise that those negative thoughts aren't useful to us in these situations, and a more positive outlook would create a better emotional response from us. So one of my examples was I started a new class a couple of weeks ago, and it's a creative writing class. And some of the people have been going for a little while, but I had my first attendance at the class. I had a lovely time, and at the end of the class they set some homework. So through the week I kept thinking about the homework and I kept putting it off. And then there'd always be an excuse why I couldn't do the homework. And it got to Sunday and my class was on Monday, and I'm figuring, well, I really do need to get on with that homework. But I really didn't want to do it. And I realised that my thoughts were, well, I don't think I'm good enough to do the homework. I don't think I'm as good as the rest of the people in the class, and we have to read out our homework, and actually I'm going to be really embarrassed because my piece of work is going to be useless, and I'm going to completely embarrass myself in front of the whole class. So I was having these feelings of inadequacy, that I wasn't good enough, and that I was going to be embarrassed in the class. So my behaviour was avoidance. I was avoiding doing my homework. Now, quite often our negative thoughts will lead to worry and anxiety, and a common response to worry and anxiety is to avoid a situation. Because if we avoid confronting it or going to it or doing what we need to do, then actually the worry and the panic and the anxiety goes away. So every time I thought I was going to do my homework and I didn't, and I avoided doing my homework, it meant that I could forget about those feelings of inadequacy and not good enough, and I could just move on and not worry about it anymore. But of course my homework needs doing. So I needed to reframe my thoughts to change what my emotional response would be and then what my behaviour was. So I realised what my negative thoughts were, and I looked at how real they were and what I needed to do to change those thoughts to something that was more helpful to me. And what I told myself was, well, actually I have only just started this writing class, so my writing isn't going to be brilliant. It will probably be average or not even that. But I've only just started, so that's okay. I'm not supposed to know everything. Also, the other people in the class have been going longer than me, so they will know more than me. And you know what? They were a really nice bunch of people. And they wouldn't laugh at me if my homework wasn't quite up to scratch. They would encourage me. They would tell me how, what was good about it and perhaps some of the things that may be useful for me to change. They would be helpful to me. And I realised that there was no need for me to feel inadequate or not good enough. I didn't have to feel embarrassed about reading out my work in the class because they'd all be really nice to me. So I did my homework. So as you can see, by just reframing my thoughts and thinking a little bit more realistically about what the situation was, that I could change how I was feeling about things, and I changed my behaviour. So instead of avoiding and not doing my homework, I did actually write something down. And you know what? It went fine. And everyone was really nice to me. So what I'd like you to do over the next week is to continue to write down some of those situations where you feel those negative thoughts are intruding and what they're doing for you. And then I want you to think about, are you actually avoiding stuff, or are you doing things that perhaps you don't like doing as a result of it? Then you're in control, aren't you? And what you can do is start to reframe those thoughts into thoughts that would be more helpful to you, thoughts that give you an emotional response that you'd like, and create some behaviours that would be better for you. So continue with your diary this week, and we'll check in next week and do a little bit more of a deeper dive and understand why we get these negative thoughts, what reframing means for us, and why reframing can change the way things happen in the future for us as well. So as I say, keep up with the diary, check in again next week on video 4, and hopefully together we'll start to lead a more mentally healthy life.